For the past 10 weeks, I've met with, filmed with, written about, and edited a video on a different startup every Saturday, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. The one question I get from everyone when I talk to them about S3 is why? Why am I taking the time on a Saturday to do this? So, in this video, I'm going to tell you how I ended up starting S3, what I learned from season 1, and why I'm really doing it, and why I think it's one of the most important things I could be working on in the world. So I've been doing storytelling since I was like 9, and I've been getting paid to do it, well, since I guess middle school and high school, but I've been doing it for like a career for 5 years. I've worked in video games, the music industry, advertising, with the long-term dream of being a writer, director, and producer of new IP like Stranger Things, Pirates of the Caribbean, Star Wars, stuff like that. Then last year, I looked at all the books I'd read in my life, the ones that really captured me, spoke to me, and I basically realized they were all about startups, or people going out to try and change the world. Pretty much every company starts as a startup. A few guys and gals in a garage, a couple of people working in an apartment over the weekend. It always blows my mind that companies that are changing the world once started off so small, with just an idea and maybe a little craziness that they could actually pull it off. Despite how revolutionary and life-altering companies like this are, there's not a lot of media about them, their journey to get where they are. You have news coverage, word of mouth, their own marketing, maybe an interview or a podcast. Sometimes if you get really big, you might get a book written about you. But a lot of this stuff misses the heart of the problem. And for me, I've always been obsessed with progress. The journey, the act of creating, tackling a big problem, pioneering, iterating, building, sharpening, carving, developing, accelerating, advancing, evolving, growing, setting out on a goal, progress. And there really isn't a medium that captures that journey. So I decided to start S3, or Saturday Startup Stories, which I originally didn't even try to name it. I was just like, it's just gonna be the web series about startups on Saturdays. I realized I should probably name it Progress. The Saturday thing is really important to me. The startup is 24/7, 365, and most of the time founders are working on Saturdays already. Just knowing, I think for the audience, the day was shot of the week. A big part of it too is the turnaround time. That forces a level of authenticity from the startups and the founders in the show, but also for me. I have to film it, edit it, and write the blog about it really fast. It forces me to make something that's really honest and authentic, which I think is the thing that's missing in media about this. Any given episode of S3 will tell you a minimum of 3 things about a company: the problem they want to solve, why they care about the problem, and an immediate problem or milestone that they're working on. In fact, this video is sort of like an S3 episode for S3. Very meta. But I'm gonna try to answer those 3 questions. And before I do that, I need to talk about what I learned in season 1, because it actually changed my answers for those 3 questions. I think I went into season 1 expecting to learn how to build a startup, how to build hard things. And I did get insight on that. But what I learned and kind of have taken away from season 1 is not at all what I expected. I think one of the big things I learned is that if you're watching this video, you're really lucky. Consider the multitude of factors that brought you here. You're accessing the internet to watch this on technology that 10, 20 years ago did not cost what it cost for you to get today. And much of the world still can't afford that technology that you're watching this on. But even having access to the internet, you have privilege that most of society doesn't have today. Time-wise, you're alive at the uptick of the exponential curve of technological advancement. This is the most peaceful time we've ever been alive. We're living longer, wealthier, healthier, and more connected than ever before. You, me, we are incredibly lucky. It's time for humanity's motivations to evolve. It is high time that our compasses pivot from economic incentives to something better. The question is, what is better? I was raised by people who were just starting to see the change from economic to maybe interest or curiosity-driven pursuit. My generation, I think too, is all about passion. Find your passion, but I actually don't think that's right either. Passion, interest, curiosity, economic incentives are all things to consider in what you want to do with your life. They'll all sort of shift in priority and an outcome. So I think the core compass waypoint, the North Star, should be mission. We often look at great people, eminent people, people who are currently changing the world, fill in someone that inspires you, and I think assume that they possessed something unattainable. You probably know what I'm about to say next. In reality, the difference lies in opportunity, persistence, and belief. I want to take it a step further. When you're thinking about rocket scientists or people who know a ton about a deep subject field, I actually think the average person is so much closer in intellect and smarts and ambition and the capacity to achieve that than they would ever imagine. I think the average person is more similar to a rocket scientist or a cellular biologist than they would ever expect. This leads me to the final thing that I learned in my new why and reason for doing S3. I believe that we don't have enough people who are trying to change the world. I'm not going to elaborate on that. If you watch the episodes, if you experience it, if you follow along, I think the show does itself. A single person could change the world. A small team, a single idea can change the world. And we need more people trying to do that. So What are my 3 things for S3? So what's my problem? Why do I care about it? And what's my current milestone that I'm chasing? The mission of S3 is to try to increase the percentage of people changing the world. The more people that are working to do this, the better the world is. My initial goal was 5 episodes. We've since doubled that, which is crazy. Now it's time to try for a year. When I started it, the goal was to be informative and educational and learn about a startup or a technology, but I don't think that's what is important. You can learn about the startups through the blog, the internet, the little info clips we link on the side of videos where you just have founders riffing, but I think what actually truly matters is being inspirational. My goal and hope for any given episode of S3 is that you leave it and you're amped, you're pumped to get back to whatever it is you're building. Or if you're not sure what that is, maybe it gives you a spark of inspiration or makes you want to pick up a book about something you never thought you could understand. My fear is that people will watch this and think, oh, so-and-so is so smart and so brave and ambitious in doing what they're doing. Because I think what that's really saying, that person is afraid to actually go and chase and tackle something as ambitious as some of the founders who are featured in S3. And again, like I've learned that the average person is so much closer to scientists, founders, and world changers than they'd ever believe. And I think the difference between one and the other is a belief in oneself to learn the skills they need to learn, to apply the pressure and hustle that's necessary, or just to think outside of the box. But like, I think the average person is so much closer to that than they would ever realize. My fear overall is that people watch S3 and they see it like through a window, or they just see it as something that they aren't, or that it's cool to watch. I don't want that. I want people to be viewing it thinking one day I could be on S3, or what I'm doing is as equally exciting, if not more exciting, than what's featured on S3. I currently believe that the most important thing in the world is to inspire more people to change it. And that's why I spend my free time, my Saturdays, and sometimes my Sundays working on S3. Thanks for watching and listening to this. I hope it gives you some context or a different angle on how to look at S3. Keep on building the future, and I'll see you in the next episode.